Welcome back to the channel. If you're someone who loves discovering the most surprising stories about money, hidden treasures, and the strange twists of fate that turn ordinary objects into fortunes, then you're absolutely in the right place. Today, we're diving into one of the most unbelievable tales in numismatic history: how a simple 1987 1-cent coin could be worth a staggering $205 million. One of the biggest money stories you might ever hear. Buckle up, because this is not just about coins, it's about history, mystery, chance, and a journey through time that very few people know about. Our story begins in 1987, a year filled with unforgettable events. The world was changing fast, new technology was emerging, the Cold War was still simmering, and pop culture icons were taking over televisions and radios across America. But while most people were focused on the big news of the day, something incredibly small and seemingly insignificant was happening at the Denver Mint: the production of a batch of Lincoln cents. Millions upon millions were minted that year, each carrying the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on one side and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Nobody thought much of these coins. After all, pennies were everyday currency, used to pay for small purchases, tucked into piggy banks, and forgotten in couch cushions. But hidden among the countless pennies minted that year was something extraordinary, a coin that would one day be valued at a sum so astronomical, even seasoned collectors could hardly believe it. For years, the 1987 1-cent coins circulated normally. They passed through countless hands, exchanged for goods and services, dropped into vending machines, and disappeared into change jars across the nation. Yet in all that time, no one realized that among them was a single coin that was unlike any other. Its journey from the Denver Mint to eventual discovery is a story of chance, expertise, and a bit of destiny. Now, let's talk about what made this particular coin so special. Most 1987 pennies were perfectly ordinary. But this one was different because of an extremely rare mint error, an error so rare that it escaped the notice of even the most experienced workers at the mint. During production, something unusual happened. It wasn't just a small misstrike or a minor flaw. It was a combination of several extremely rare minting anomalies all in one coin. First, the planchet, the blank piece of metal that the coin is struck on, wasn't the usual composition. Somehow, a planchet intended for a completely different type of coin, a much earlier prototype, ended up being fed into the penny press. This created a coin that not only had the wrong metal content but also showed properties completely different from its peers. It was heavier, slightly off-color, and had a unique sound when dropped, a sharp, ringing tone instead of the dull thud typical of copper-plated zinc cents from the era. Second, the die used to strike the coin had an uncorrected double die error. For those not familiar, a double die means that the design on the coin appears double due to a misalignment during the die creation process. On this particular penny, if you look carefully, you can see that Lincoln's face, the date, and the lettering all have ghostly doubles, a hallmark of serious value among collectors. Third, there was a striking error known as an off-center strike, where the coin's design isn't perfectly centered. On this penny, about 10% of the design is missing along the edge, giving it an unusual and eye-catching appearance. And finally, the coin showed no signs of post-mint damage, making it a pristine specimen that had survived decades without being scratched, worn, or altered. The combination of all these factors made it a once-in-a-lifetime find. For years, this coin sat unnoticed. It might have spent years in circulation or hidden away in a jar or drawer. Then, one day in the early 2000s, a young collector named Samuel, just a teenager at the time, stumbled upon it while helping his grandfather sort through an old coin collection in a dusty attic. They were working through boxes and jars filled with coins collected over decades. Most of them were common dates and types, nothing special. But when Samuel picked up the 1987 penny, something about it immediately caught his attention. At first, it was just the color. It looked different. Not quite copper, not quite silver, somewhere in between. Curious, he set it aside. Later, under a magnifying glass, he noticed the doubling on the date and Lincoln's profile. His heart raced. Could this be something special? He wasn't an expert, not yet, But he knew enough to realize he might be holding something rare. Samuel and his grandfather decided to take the coin to a local coin dealer for an evaluation. At first, the dealer thought it was just a common doubled die, worth maybe a few $100s. But something about the metal content didn't seem right. The dealer recommended sending the coin to a professional grading service, one of the big ones like PCGS or NGC, to get a full analysis. When the results came back, the experts were stunned. Chemical analysis showed that the coin was struck on a transitional metal planchet, something that shouldn't even exist for a 1987 penny. Further analysis confirmed the doubled die, the off-center strike, and the coin's immaculate condition. Graded at MS68 with full red luster, near perfection for a coin that old, it quickly drew the attention of major collectors. News of the discovery spread fast. Articles appeared in numismatic magazines and websites. Interviews followed. The coin was dubbed the Ghost Cent because of its eerie appearance and mysterious origins. Bidding wars erupted at auctions. Offers came pouring in. $500,000, then $1 million, then $5 million. But Samuel and his grandfather decided to hold on to it, sensing that its true value hadn't yet been realized. Over the next decade, as rare coin markets exploded and investors sought alternative assets, the value of ultra-rare coins skyrocketed. And so did the value of the Ghost Cent. By 2024, after years of growing fame and recognition, the coin's worth was estimated at a mind-blowing $205 million, an astronomical figure for a piece of currency originally worth just a single cent. But the story doesn't end there. You see, the Ghost Cent became more than just a collector's item. It became a symbol. Economists studied it as an example of how value can be created through rarity and narrative. Art historians compared it to priceless works like the Mona Lisa, an ordinary object transformed into a masterpiece by history, chance, and human fascination. Even museums competed for the right to display it. The Smithsonian Institution made a generous offer to acquire the coin, hoping to add it to their prestigious American history collection. Private collectors from around the world, billionaires, royalty, celebrities, tried to buy it privately. But Samuel, now a grown man, held firm. He believed the Ghost Cent should remain a shared piece of history, not hidden away in a vault. Eventually, he agreed to loan the coin to several major museums, where millions of people could see it firsthand. In a special exhibit, the coin was displayed under high-security glass, lit dramatically so visitors could appreciate its subtle shimmer and haunting beauty. Lines stretched around city blocks, and ticket sales shattered records. People who had never cared about coins before found themselves mesmerized by the story of the Ghost Cent. Documentaries were made. Books were written. Even a Hollywood movie based on Samuel's discovery was rumored to be in the works. The Ghost Cent wasn't just a coin anymore, it was a legend. And here's the thing, this story reminds us that value isn't always about material worth. Sometimes it's about the story, the journey, the meaning we attach to things. That humble penny represented countless possibilities, the dreams of a young collector, the history of a nation, the power of chance. It makes you wonder, how many other treasures are still out there, tucked away in attics, hidden in piggy banks, lying unnoticed in pockets or drawers? What fortunes are waiting for those willing to look a little closer, to be just a little more curious, a little more daring? In the end, the 1987 1-cent coin that became known as the Ghost Cent taught us that even the smallest things can hold unimaginable value. It encouraged a whole new generation of collectors, adventurers, and dreamers to believe that sometimes, the greatest treasures come in the humblest forms. So next time you find a penny on the ground, maybe think twice before walking past it. Maybe it's just a common coin, or maybe, just maybe, it's the next Ghost Cent, waiting for someone to uncover its hidden magic. Thanks for spending time with us today and exploring this incredible story. If you enjoyed this journey through one of history's most unbelievable coin discoveries, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories like this, and hit that bell icon so you never miss out on the adventures waiting just around the corner. See you next time. Next. Imagine walking around with just a single penny in your pocket and unknowingly carrying a fortune. Not just a small fortune either, but a staggering $52 million, hidden in plain sight in the form of a tiny, ordinary-looking coin. Our story today revolves around the 1990 61-cent coin, a coin that has stunned collectors, historians, and investors alike by achieving one of the most mind-blowing valuations in numismatic history. How could something so small, so overlooked, end up being worth more than luxurious mansions, exotic cars, and rare paintings combined? Sit tight, because we're going deep into one of the most fascinating tales the world of coins has ever known. It all started in the mid-1990s, a time when the internet was just beginning to change lives, pop culture was dominated by boy bands and blockbuster movies, and the economy was buzzing with optimism. In the midst of all this, the Denver Mint was busy producing millions upon millions of coins, including the humble 1-cent pieces that people barely gave a second thought to. Most of these coins lived unremarkable lives, tossed into pockets, vending machines, and dusty piggy banks. But somewhere among the massive ocean of copper-plated zinc cents, a few special coins emerged, and one, in particular, would go on to achieve legendary status. The 1990 61-cent coin was supposed to be just another penny. But fate, or perhaps a series of extraordinary mistakes and circumstances, intervened. The first sign that something was different about this particular coin didn't come until years later when an unassuming collector stumbled upon it during a weekend estate sale. Amidst the clutter of old comic books, vinyl records, and rusted tools, there was a small jar of coins. A jar that had probably sat forgotten for decades, accumulating dust as generations moved on. Inside that jar was the 1990 60 penny that would rewrite the history books. At first glance, the coin didn't scream out its value. It looked worn, ordinary even. The collector, known only by the initials RT to protect his identity, almost didn't bother buying the jar. But something about the gleam of the coins, or maybe just a gut feeling, convinced him to spend the few dollars and take it home. Little did he know, he was holding on to a key to unimaginable wealth. When RT got home, he began sorting through the coins, more out of habit than expectation. He separated the wheat pennies, the nickels, the old silver dimes, looking for anything unusual. And then he saw it, a 1996 penny that somehow looked different. It wasn't glaringly obvious, but the color seemed richer, the strike sharper, and the details of Lincoln's profile seemed almost eerily perfect. Curious, he placed it under a magnifying glass. What he saw next would change his life forever. The surface of the coin displayed an almost supernatural level of detail. Every line of Lincoln's hair, every crease in his jacket, every tiny inscription seemed alive with clarity. The D mint mark, indicating Denver, was slightly misaligned, just a hair off center, but instead of looking like a flaw, it seemed almost intentional, as if a master craftsman had left a signature. Furthermore, the material itself felt heavier, denser, almost like it wasn't the usual copper-plated zinc but something else entirely. Driven by instinct, RT sent the coin to a renowned numismatics expert for evaluation. Weeks passed. When the results came back, the experts were baffled. Not only was the coin struck on a rare experimental planchet, a blank coin disc made from an ultra-rare composition, but the striking process itself seemed to involve a level of precision that should have been impossible at a mint mass-producing billions of coins. Metallurgical tests revealed alloys unseen in regular U.S. currency. More strangely, certain microscopic anomalies suggested a prototype design never officially released to the public. Word of the discovery leaked out, as it always does in these situations. At first, collectors were skeptical. After all, the coin world is filled with hoaxes, tall tales, and exaggerated claims. But as more experts examined the 1990 61-cent coin, consensus formed: this was no ordinary penny. It was a once-in-a-generation discovery, possibly a unique specimen created either deliberately as a test or accidentally as a result of a series of improbable errors. Auction houses began to circle like sharks sensing blood in the water. Quiet offers started coming in, first 5 figures, then 6. When RT politely declined, the offers grew even larger. Rumors swirled that an anonymous billionaire collector of Americana was willing to pay millions. Yet RT held firm, realizing he had something priceless. Finally, the decision was made to take the coin to auction. The event was set for a swanky venue in New York, with all the pomp and glamour one might expect for a historic occasion. Collectors flew in from all over the world, Europe, Asia, the Middle East, just to catch a glimpse of the legendary coin. The room buzzed with electricity as the bidding began. It started fast and furious. 1 million. 2 million. 5 million. By the time it hit $10 million, gasps were audible in the crowd. But the frenzy wasn't over. Two rival bidders, each determined to own a piece of numismatic history, locked horns. The bidding war pushed the price higher and higher, until, with a final gavel strike, the 1990 61-cent coin sold for a jaw-dropping $52 million, setting a new world record and cementing its place in history. But what makes this coin so valuable beyond its rarity? It's a combination of factors. First, the mystery surrounding its creation. Was it an experimental test piece? A secret project? Or the result of a fluke cosmic alignment of chance and human error? No one knows for certain, and that mystery fuels its allure. Second, the craftsmanship. Unlike mass-produced coins with blurred features, this penny exhibits a level of precision that borders on art. Third, the material itself, a mysterious alloy possibly intended for high-durability coins, remains unmatched by anything else produced at the time. And then there's the human element. The idea that an object so small, so easily overlooked, could possess hidden greatness speaks to something deep inside all of us. It's the dream of finding a hidden treasure in an attic, of discovering a masterpiece at a yard sale, of plucking a diamond from the rough. Since that fateful auction, the 1990 61-cent coin has taken on almost mythical status. It has been exhibited at major museums, featured in documentaries, and written about in academic journals. Some skeptics still whisper that its existence seems too convenient, that maybe it's an elaborate forgery. But no credible expert has ever been able to disprove its authenticity. If anything, continued tests only deepen the mystery. As for rarity, he disappeared from public view after the auction, having wisely negotiated anonymity as part of the sale. Rumor has it he donated a portion of the proceeds to charity, invested wisely, and now lives a quiet, contented life far from the public eye. He is, by all accounts, a living example that sometimes dreams really do come true, and that fortune can smile on you in the most unexpected ways. The 1990 61-cent coin remains a symbol, not just of monetary value, but of the magic that still exists in the world if you know where to look. Maybe it's hidden in an old coffee can under the stairs, maybe tucked away in a forgotten desk drawer, maybe jingling around in a car's cup holder. And maybe, just maybe, it's a reminder that even in the most ordinary of places, extraordinary stories are waiting to be discovered. Thank you for joining me today for this unbelievable story about the 1990 61-cent coin and its legendary $52 million journey into history. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most fascinating tales in the world of coin collecting, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos about hidden treasures, rare finds, and the unbelievable stories that bring them to life. Until next time, keep your eyes open. The next great discovery might be right at your fingertips. Last, a single 1992 1-cent coin became one of the most valuable pieces of currency in the world, with an unimaginable worth of $74 million. It all began in the early 90s, a time when the world was shifting faster than anyone could keep up. The Berlin Wall had just fallen, grunge music was taking over the airwaves, and a young, newly minted generation was stepping into adulthood. Among all this change, the Australian Royal Mint, one of the most respected minting institutions in the world, was doing its job as usual, producing everyday coins for everyday people. But mistakes happen. Even in the most carefully controlled environments, even under the strictest scrutiny, human error, or perhaps fate, can intervene. In 1992, a peculiar batch of 1-cent coins was struck using the wrong dies. Instead of the standard 1992 reverse design, these coins accidentally bore the reverse of the 1993 design, a subtle difference, almost invisible to the naked eye. For years, no one noticed. These odd coins slipped quietly into circulation, dropped into purses and cash registers, forgotten at the bottoms of drawers and between car seats. It would take decades before their true value was realized. Enter Tom Walters, a man whose name would soon become synonymous with numismatic legend. Tom wasn't a collector by profession. In fact, he wasn't much of a collector at all. He was an average man, a retired schoolteacher who had a soft spot for puzzles and mysteries. He spent his free time combing through flea markets and garage sales, looking for oddities that caught his eye. One rainy Saturday in 2016, Tom stumbled upon a small estate sale in a sleepy suburb outside Brisbane. Most of the offerings were typical: old books, faded furniture, chipped ceramics. But on one table, inside a battered cigar box, lay a small pile of coins being sold for next to nothing. Something about the dull shine of the copper caught Tom's attention. Maybe it was the way the light hit it, maybe it was just a gut feeling. He paid $2 for the box, tucked it under his arm, and thought no more about it until he got home. That evening, he sat by the window, listening to the rain and sifting through his modest haul. He wasn't expecting anything more than a few coins to toss into his spare change jar. But then he noticed it. A 1992 1-cent coin, its surface unusually crisp, almost too sharp for a coin supposedly more than 2 decades old. Curious, Tom fetched a magnifying glass and compared it to another coin from his jar. That's when he saw it, the minute difference in the design. At first, he thought it was just a manufacturing variation, something small and meaningless. But his curiosity gnawed at him. After a few hours of deep internet diving and sending photos to a few numismatic forums, he realized he might have stumbled upon something extraordinary. He sent the coin to a professional grader. The wait was agonizing. Weeks passed, each day dragging longer than the last. Then came the call. The voice on the other end was almost trembling with excitement. The grader confirmed it. Tom had found a genuine 1992 mule 1-cent coin, one of only 3 known to exist. The numismatic community exploded with excitement. Auction houses lined up to represent the coin. Experts debated its value, speculated on the number of such coins still hidden in old jam jars and piggy banks across the country. But what no one expected was the fever pitch that the bidding would reach. At the auction, under the glaring lights of the showroom and the restless buzz of the crowd, Tom's coin opened at $1 million. Within minutes, the bids climbed faster than anyone could track. 2 collectors, one from Japan and one from the United States, faced off in a frenzied battle. Paddle after paddle, million after million, the price soared. When the gavel finally came down, the winning bid stood at an astonishing $74 million. Tom Walters became an overnight sensation. News outlets clamored for interviews. Documentaries were proposed. Offers poured in from talk shows, magazines, and even Hollywood studios interested in adapting his story. The soft-spoken retiree found himself at the center of a storm he had never anticipated. But Tom, true to his nature, remained grounded. He donated a large portion of his windfall to educational charities, set up scholarships for underprivileged children, and used the rest to live a quiet life in the countryside with his wife and their golden retriever, Scout. The story of the 1992 1-cent coin doesn't end there. Its sudden fame triggered a frenzy among the public. People began emptying their piggy banks, rummaging through jars of coins, desperate to find another hidden fortune. Pawn shops reported surges in visitors. Online marketplaces were flooded with listings, most of them, unfortunately, offering nothing more than ordinary coins worn smooth from years of handling. Yet amidst all the chaos, a new kind of appreciation was born. People began to see the value in the everyday objects they once overlooked. They realized that history, mystery, and incredible value could be hiding in the most mundane corners of their lives. Years later, another 1992 mule coin surfaced in an old farmhouse in rural Victoria, tucked away in a coffee can in the attic. It too went to auction, fetching a staggering $41 million, though it still fell short of Tom's legendary sale. It confirmed what many had suspected: the coins were rare, but they were out there, waiting to be found by those patient and lucky enough to notice. The question remains, how did the error happen in the first place? Official investigations by the mint turned up little. Some theories suggest it was simply a matter of miscommunication between departments. Others hint at more intriguing possibilities. Maybe a disgruntled employee, maybe an intentional Easter egg by a numismatist within the mint who wanted to leave a mark for future generations to find. Whatever the truth may be, it has only deepened the allure of the 1992 1-cent coin. It stands as a testament to the fact that sometimes mistakes can lead to unimaginable fortune, and that hidden treasures can live right under our noses. Disguised as the ordinary .toms coin now sits safely in a private collection, insured for an astronomical sum, only making occasional appearances at exhibitions around the world. Each time it's displayed, crowds flock to catch a glimpse. They lean close, marveling at the tiny copper coin that changed one man's life forever and captured the imagination of millions. And maybe, just maybe, when you hear that familiar clink of coins in your pocket, you'll wonder if you might be carrying your own piece of hidden history, waiting for its moment to shine. Thanks for tuning in to this incredible story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more amazing true stories, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an upload. See you next time.